Hello. I had to run upstairs and get myself a coffee at the last, a water at the last minute. I realized I was thirsty. And I'm going to be talking, so I knew I would need some water. Hi, everybody. I'm Aggie. Wow, I ran up and down. Welcome to, let's see, is this our second session? This session is going to be about supplies for our Spring Floral Challenge. So welcome, come on in, say hello. And if you are picking this up later, tonight it's Tuesday, March 5th. So if you joined after that date, no problem, welcome. Hi, Lori. Welcome, come on in, say hello. This is a little bit different, this particular challenge. Most of our classes in the past kind of just stay there forever. This one, we're trying something a little different. This one is a limited time offer. It's only going to be here for a short time, and then it goes away unless you are a member. Hi, Linda, and hi, Facebook user, whoever you are. Hello, hello. So what makes it different, if you're a member, no worries. It's still going to remain available to you. It's going to be on YouTube. And I'm going to be sharing the YouTube playlist only with members so that you can go back and see it anytime you would like. This group will later on be, it'll still be here, but it'll be archived. Have you ever been in an archived Facebook group? Say hello, hello. Hi, Teresa. It just means that comments are turned off, and we're probably going to pull the videos out of here later on. So you are going to want to, if you purchased the class only and you're not a member, you're going to want to do this. You're going to want to actually paint and get this project done before April 14th. That's when the videos are going to go away and the group gets archived. So you will have plenty of time, but that is what makes it different. So at any rate, I'm going to be going through the supplies, and I thought I would also talk about paint color mixes. So I just a few minutes ago, I added, here it is. I added the this little color mixing sheet. I like making these, and I try to remember to fill in all the paint colors as I'm mixing them. So if I miss it, please remind me. But I'm going to go through the main color mixes and the paints that I use. And what you might use instead. So this is a really good opportunity for you to ask, hi Barb, for you to ask, well, I don't have teal because I think I might use teal. What can I use instead, or what can I mix instead? Okay, so don't be shy about asking those kind of questions. That's what this is all about. This is to help you. This is to answer any questions that you have about supplies. Okay, so should we get started? Shelly's here. I don't know. Is Shelly here? I didn't see Shelly say hi, unless she was the Facebook user that said hi. Usually I can see her name. That's weird. Okay. So hello, hello. How was your day today? How was your Tuesday? Good. Hope everybody's having a good day. Okay, first, let's take things in the order that we're going to use them. She's here and Deb is here. Hi, Deb. Yay, good, good, good. Okay, so I'm gonna use both cameras here. Probably, maybe the split screen will be better. Yeah, let's try this, see how this works. Okay, so I've got my paints out here. I'm gonna go over that later. How many of you guys have ever heard of a split primary palette? Who knows what that is? Just curious. It's no big thing if you don't, if you've never heard of it. And also, I'm going to throw questions at you. So if you know what a split primary palette is, just say yes. Just comment yes. And if not, don't worry. I will tell you what it is in just a sec. And then my next question is, do you know what the primary colors are? Linda says no. Okay. Who knows what the primary colors are? So Teresa has heard of it. Good, good, good. Just curious. Who has heard of it? I don't know why I have a blank piece of paper there. And have you heard of do you know what the primary colors are? Red, yellow, and blue, right? Red, yellow, and blue. So a split primary is taking the red, yellow, and blue and doing a split on it because colors can be warm or cool. So if we're talking about red, the split of red, yep, is a warm red and a cool red. And here they are. Here is what I like to use for a warm red and a cool red. Oops, I'm turning this the wrong way. Any magenta is a great cool red. And any orangey looking red, you know, when you compare these two side by side, you can see that one is cooler than the other, right? Anything that looks like it has more yellow in it, which you may not be able to tell. I mean, this looks warmer, right? I think it looks warmer. If your intuition tells you that's a warmer color, it probably is. So anyway, warm red is like an orangey red. This one's called pyrrole red. You could use cadmium red light, even quinacridone red. It's a little bit pinky, but that's a good one too. Shelley likes using naphthol red. Okay, so for cool, we usually just use magenta. Another one is, I guess, alizarin crimson is another good red to use, but I would prefer that you get either primary magenta or quinacridone magenta. So that's for the reds. Now another primary color is yellow, and the split on yellow between warm and cool, the ones that I like to use is Hansa Yellow Opaque. And if you're not going to use golden fluids, by the way, you don't have to use fluid acrylics at all. Use whatever you have, even craft paints. However, if you really want to up your game and improve your paintings, we always suggest you go with professional grade paints, or at least, you know, semi-professional grade paints, not craft paints, because craft paints can have a bunch of different pigments in them. And it's really hard to learn how to mix colors when you don't even know what you're starting with. So this Hansa Yellow is just a like a daffodil yellow, a sunshiny yellow. It's not grayed down like the raw sienna is. Raw sienna is a great yellow to use in landscapes and portraits and things like that. It's a subdued yellow. It's a muted yellow. But it's warmer because it's got more like of a brownish orangey tinge to it, whereas this one, the Hansa Yellow, goes cool very easily. A cooler yellow almost looks like it's got a little bit of green in it, like it's just about to turn green. That's how you can tell. And another good cool yellow is Cad Yellow Light. It's really the only other yellow I know that's a cool yellow. Hello, hello. So that's for the yellows. So really that's you know, and when you look at my sample, here's my sample. You can obviously see that there are pinks in here. When you add white to a color, let's say you're going to use, you know, the cool, you're going to use the quinacridone magenta. And when you add white to it, white actually keeps it cool. And, but there are some warm reds in there too. I don't know if you can see them, but there is a little bit of pyrrole red in the centers of some of these flowers. And you can kind of see that, right? It's just a little bit of, you know, temperature shift going on to make it interesting. So those are the two reds that we use. And the only really, the yellow that we use is just the cool yellow, like a Hansa Yellow, or you could use Cad Yellow Medium or Cad Yellow Light. Should work fine for you. Okay, and then let's talk about blue. So when we are talking about blue, the main colors that I use and what a lot of artists use is ultramarine blue is a really fantastic warm blue, and phthalo blue green shade is a fabulous cool blue. Now there are a lot of other blues around, but these are what we use in our palette of colors. And the way that you can tell the difference, if you put both of these out on your palette, they're going to look exactly the same, pretty much. You know, they just look like dark blue. You can't even tell until you start adding, either add a little water or add a little bit of white to them, and you'll see the difference. So if you add a little bit of white to ultramarine blue, it's like periwinkle. It's beautiful. And I didn't really use that. Well, I think I do have a little bit of it in here. If you were to guess which blues in here are ultramarine blue and which blues did I use the phthalo blue green shade, can you tell? If you are a more experienced painter that has been mixing these colors, it might be a little easier for you to tell. If you can't tell, that's okay. If it's all new to you, no problem. I totally get it. But I can give you a hint. Let me just point to it this way. I hate my fat fingers. The blue greens, like this one right here, this one right here, sorry. This sky blue, it's, believe it or not, it's like a very pale turquoise. That's phthalo blue green shade with white added to it. Whereas this blue right here, the one right next to it that I almost pointed to, the one that looks grayish. Wow, it's really hard to point and show all this. This color right here, maybe if I do it in the camera, duh. This color right here is an ultramarine blue. It's a little bit different. And all I wanted was to make them look a little different. I wanted the water to look a little bit different than from the vase. So at any rate, not to get into too much detail on it, you just want to have, I would suggest you use ultramarine blue and phthalo blue green shade. If you don't have phthalo blue green shade, you can use like manganese blue, or what is that blue, Shelley, that you just got it recently? Not manganese. I'm forgetting the name of it. It's kind of a neutral blue, but it's a bit of a weaker blue. It's not something I would typically, if you're just starting to build your palette of colors, I would say definitely get phthalo blue green shade. So those are the two blues. Another color that I really love, cerulean. Yes, thank you so much. Cerulean blue is a really nice blue. Hi, Terry. Another color I absolutely love. Cobalt is a good one too. You can use cobalt too. That's a good idea, Lori. Cobalt is like right down the middle. And so is cerulean. Cerulean is, they're almost like neutral. They can go warm or cool depending on what you add to them. And I love teal. I absolutely love this color. And if you look at my sample, you'll see that there are, you know, pops of teal, which I think works really well with these particular colors. So I am going to suggest to you that you get teal. You're going to love it. It's a happy color. I don't think I know anybody that doesn't like teal. Do you? I mean, who doesn't love teal? And then a couple more colors that we might use, but that would be good for you to have if you can swing it. Payne's Gray is a fabulous color. Oh my God, I love this color. If you don't buy this, you can mix Payne's Gray with ultramarine blue and like Van Dyke Brown or Burnt Umber Light. And I do have Van Dyke Brown. I use both of these now. Van Dyke Brown is a really good dark brown, and also Burnt Umber Light is a little bit lighter, but it's a really nice brown also. And sometimes when we're doing greens, if you add to make the greens look more earthy and more real, you know, you can mix blue and yellow. And we're going to go through some color mixes. You can mix blue and yellow. But if you add a little brown to it, it can really make it look more earthy and more natural, more like a real green and not shocking shamrock green. You know what I mean? Like this. This is like shocking green. Okay, so enough about paints for now. If you have questions, though, throw them in the chat, please. Let's get to the supplies. Let's get to talking about the supplies. So I already shared one video where I talked about tracing, printing out the tracer. And I think I showed you, you know, I taped my tracer together And here it is. And I showed you how to do that so that you can reuse this. They're very nice to have, keep them in a file and all that stuff. And what I use is Richardson graphite paper. And, you know, I didn't make a list of all these supplies, but I posted every single one of these things inside the group, inside the Facebook group. And also I shared links that you can click on to go buy that. I don't get any money if you buy it from the link that I shared. I just don't do that. If you want to buy it somewhere else, go right ahead and buy it somewhere else, a different brand. But I will say this is the best stuff. This stuff works really, really well, and you can reuse it over and over and over again. It's a very richly pigmented, or it's richly graphited, if that's the word. And then I use that. I use some tape to tape my tracer down onto the substrate, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. And I also use a stylus. Hi, Denise. Hi. Or somebody saying hi to Denise. I'm not sure. So this is my substrate. This is the one that I did the video on, and I showed you how to trace it. But let me go to the raw substrate. When I'm going to suggest that you buy this exact one. It's a 12 by 16 wood painting panel. As you can see on the label, I saved the label. And normally you would use this side of it. These are really nice. They're very good quality. I mean, great quality, actually. I suppose if you really wanted to put it on this side, you could. But the nice thing is, if you do it on this side, it's framed. Hi, Shelly and Agnes. It's Denise. Hi. So that's what this is. That's the substrate. Get it at Hobby Lobby. If you don't have a Hobby Lobby near you, you can order this online, and I shared the link. Okay, so any questions about anything that I've covered, throw them in the chat. Here's a new thing that I've been using. What you want to do is you want to seal this because we're going to be adding resin later on. And anything that's porous, like wood, when you put resin on it, it's going to enclose it. So if there's oxygen inside the thing, the oxygen bubbles are going to come up through the resin. Now, no matter how well you seal it, there's still going to be a few bubbles. In my opinion, that's what happens. But you want to try and seal this as best you can. So what I've been using lately, I've been using this GAC 100 by Golden. And it's an acrylic primer and extender. You don't have to use this. You can use just about anything that says that it's a sealer. It could be a brush on acrylic. It could be a spray on, and I'll show you a couple of other options. But I really do like this stuff. It's very, very nice. And it says on the back, use alone or blend with acrylic mediums, colors, and water. Do not use as a varnish. It's a before thing, not an after. Think of it that way. So this is a sealer to seal this wood. Okay, so that's what I've been using. If you don't want to get that, hold on, let me see if I can find my can. I didn't think about grabbing it. Where is it? I've got cans over here. You can use polyacrylic. I would not use gloss. I would use matte. So this is a spray acrylic. This can also be used as a varnish. I feel like it would be hard to paint on something that's shiny. It's easier to paint on a matte surface. So there's also the 2X brand. Let me see if I've got that somewhere. Yeah, here's the 2X brand. Hit it in this thing. And this is matte clear. So this would be perfect to use to seal your substrate, this right here. And I think I shared this in the Facebook group. And let me just say, if this is your first time creating a glass and resin project, or even painting acrylics, you're going to love painting on wood. I mean, right, you guys? Comment, share how much you love painting on wood. I absolutely love painting on wood. It's much nicer than painting on canvas. I don't know why. Maybe because you can add more water and it just, I don't know. It's just so much better. So you're going to want it. You're going to want to get a can of this. You know what I mean? You're going to want to invest in all of these things. Hopefully we will hook you. But I would say, go ahead, get the good stuff. You're going to want to keep doing this. It brings you so much joy. I'm just telling you. So anyway, this is another option, and you just, follow the directions. Don't spray too much on at once. Just do 2 light coats, or even, I would say 2 light coats. Just, let it dry in an hour in between. Okay, let me put this back. By the time I'm done with a live, I have so much stuff sitting out. Okay, so that's what we did on that video the other day. I showed you how to trace the design on, and you're gonna get to this stage, right? So if you could have your substrate to this point when we start the class on Monday the 25th, you're going to be good to go. You're going to be golden. Hopefully you can do that. Now, the only thing, when I went live, I couldn't find my kneaded eraser. And here it is. Here's my kneaded rubber eraser. And what I was trying to explain in there is that you can form it into a elongated shape like this and roll it to pick up the excess graphite, although it's not really working that well. So I made these lines a little too dark, but if I, clean it up with this, which is going to take a little bit of elbow grease, apparently, I will have much nicer, lighter lines. So I'm not going to bore you with that, but man, I can't believe how hard it is to lift this off of here. I guess that Richardson paper is just so nice and dark. The stuff that I used when I used graphite paper that I bought at Hobby Lobby, it was never dark enough. Okay, so does this make sense, what I've said so far? To get yourself to this stage where you've got your canvas sealed, primed, you've transferred the design onto it, you've taped off the sides because we don't want to get the paint on this inside of the frame. And I explained all that in that video that I shared on, what did I call it? I think it was called Getting Started. So watch the Getting Started video if you haven't seen that, if you're new. Okay, I'm going to take all this away now since we've covered all that. Other supplies. What we're going to do is we're going to paint this. The other thing I didn't mention is a chip brush. You might want to just paint it on with a chip brush. And if you have a little bit of texture or, brush strokes from the chip brush. And I also used white sealing paint. Either use white sealing paint when you prime your substrate, or you can use gesso. Gesso's a little bit more money, but both of them give a really nice velvety texture to paint on. It's really, really nice. 2 coats. Okay. Glass. Okay. I don't remember which video. Did I talk about this in the Getting Started? I think I shared this either in the Getting Started or maybe another video. I don't remember right now, but this glass that you see right here is 1 votive. Sealing paint, not ceiling paint, in case that's confusing. Oh, that's a good, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, we're talking about latex house paint interior. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what you see in here, this is one of these. And somebody, I think it was Terry, was asking me how many of these do we need? And you know what? I hate to answer that in you know, because everyone's different with how much glass they put on. Everyone's different with, they might nip these and shatter it wrong, and that one's wasted. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is. I don't know why it's doing that, Shelly. I'm sorry. But I would say, as you can see, this is one votive. So if I lay this all out here, I should probably, let's put this on a tracer. So I designed the size of this to go with this size of glass. And you might be thinking, well, I want to do it smaller. And you could, you know, I suppose you could. I didn't make a tracer any other size. I only have this size. I don't remember where this substrate was from, but I suppose you could look into that. And if you tell me what size this is and you want me to create a tracer for it, I can. But anyway, for the most part, I'd like for you to do it in this size. So if I take all this glass from the tray to figure out how much would this do, I think it did 2 of them. Does anybody remember? Now, it depends. You might want to, and I'm going to teach you how to nip the glass, you know, and all of that. The center, I talked about how you kind of build the center with smaller pieces. There's a couple different ways we can do that. I'm not going to get into that detail right now. We're just talking about supplies, but you get the idea, right? We're all different with the amount of glass that we want to put on there. We've got people that put a little, and we've got people that put a lot. And yeah, that's what makes it so cool, is that everybody's is their own. Everybody's looks different depending on the glass you use. So there's no right or wrong. But since one votive does 2, you know, pretty well. Now it's not packed in there. If I wanted a lot more, I would just get more votives, right? And who knows, by the time I'm done with it, I might decide that I want to really pack a lot of glass in there, in which case, you know, maybe I want, so if this was one votive that's doing 2 pretty well, and I've got 3 more, how many would I need? I don't know. 1, 2, 3, you know, 4, 5, 6, something like that. The outage today must have goofed me up. Yeah, I know. It scared all of us, didn't it? Yeah. So, and that's what I have over there. Let's see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this was so I bought 6 of these pink ones. And by the way, these are called orange, believe it or not. Now you can order these at dollartree.com, but it's a case of 30 of them, and I don't think you have control over the number of colors of each. They give you I think they come in orange, red, blue, and green, I think was what it was. So I don't know how many of each they give you. If there's 30 in the case, I don't know, you figure that out. Who knows if they give you, I'm not a math person. It wouldn't be 10 of each, because 8 of each, I don't know. I don't know if that's how they do it. So at any rate, does that help? If anybody has questions about how many of these you should buy, your Dollar Tree may not even have these, in which case you're going to have to buy the case. And what you can do is have it shipped to the store and go pick it up at your local Dollar Tree, or you can have it shipped to your house. I think if you have it shipped to your house, you have to pay for shipping. Okay, the other thing that I've got in here is some smaller diameter shot glasses, and because they make smaller circles. So the whole idea is that we've got, you know, this diameter. These two are the same diameter, but a shot glass is half the size of this circle. So let me get that. And then also, here's a pint glass. You know, it's just like a pint beer glass. These are at Dollar Tree. And what's nice about these is it has different diameters because it tapered. So you might even want to get a couple of these. You could certainly do your whole project with this if you wanted to. It would look fine. It would look great. You don't have to have the ribbed texture. So here's the shot glasses I was talking about, these shooter sets, and they're really super narrow. I guess I could open this. You know, so see that small diameter, how small that is? These make really cute little circles that could fit on the inner part. So circles, I mean petals. You know what I mean. Is this how this was? I don't know. Then one day I was at Home Goods and found these. Look at how pretty that is. And I snatched them right up. When you see stuff like this, you become a glass hunter. You're going to snatch this stuff up because you know votives. We use votives a lot. They're very versatile. And I could even use this if I wanted to, right? These are so pretty. Wow, with the light on there. There's also even clear clear votives at Hobby Lobby. There's gold. So I wanted to show you this case, this packaging. Let me get this out of the way. So these are in like the wedding aisle, the wedding area. Near the floral section. I'm not seeing comments anymore. Are you guys still there? Oh, I almost forgot to talk about these too. So you've seen these, right? They've got them in gold and silver and also in clear. Yeah, the AB glass is really amazing with resin. Oh, it's very, very pretty. And do you know what AB stands for? Who knows? So when Shelly says AB, this is called AB glass. And I bet you know what it stands for. So when I look at this, I see turquoise, blue, kind of a pinkish purple, and kind of a peachy yellow. All those different colors in there. Isn't that amazing? So you can get a case pack like this. There's 12 of them in here. And I do love these gold ones. I mean, you could put gold in your flowers if you wanted to, or silver, whatever you like. I think metallic looks fantastic when you combine it, with other colors of glass. But you can also get it in just clear if you wanted to. Okay, so there's always that option. There's always that. You can always get the clear at Dollar Tree. I mean, at Hobby Lobby and Dollar Tree. I don't think they do have votives at Dollar Tree. Yes, it stands for Aurora Borealis. I knew somebody would know. Yeah, AB stands for Aurora Borealis. So anyway, that's that. And then Dollar Tree also has these beautiful bottles. Now I haven't broken one of these yet, but it seems like it's nice and thick. Sometimes with glass, you can't really always tell how thick or thin it is. It might appear a certain thickness at the top. This is like the perfect thickness, about 1/8 of an inch thick. Seems to look really good when you're doing petals for flowers like this. But sometimes, like with a vase, it could be narrow at the top, and then as you're cutting, we just basically nip with nippers. We nip horizontally, and you can get down to the middle of it, and all of a sudden the glass is really thin. And there's, what can you do? That's the nature of how they produce glass. I mean, so sometimes you have to just kind of nip through all that thin stuff and get to the bottom where it's thicker again. So at any rate, these are really pretty also. And hopefully these are at your Dollar Tree. And I shared the link for all of this stuff in the group. Okay, any questions so far about glass, you guys? Throw your questions in the chat if you've got any questions. Love, love, love your questions. Oh, should I talk about brushes? Oh, I know. Wait. Okay, since we're on, so we're kind of going in the whole sequence. I didn't talk about brushes. Somebody remind me if you want me to talk about brushes, I will. But okay, so we're going to paint it. We're going to let it, hopefully you can let it dry before you start adding glass to it. You can basically set your painting aside. And I mean, we're going to go through all this each day. And then get your tracer out. You know, well, yeah, your tracer should be on the side. You should still have your tracer. Use your tracer as a template to start cutting your glass. And what you need when you're going to start cutting your glass is you need an area separate where you don't have, you know, people walking, no food. Really, you shouldn't even drink. But if you're going to drink stuff, drink out of a, you know, a Stanley cup or something with a lid. So you don't, because glass can kind of fly everywhere when you're cutting it. You can do like this setup like I've got back here. This is a 52-quart storage bin from Target. That's the lid right there. I've also got a bucket on the floor for my excess glass. And you can even buy these paint liners too. This is a nice kind of cheaper way. I've got glass in here. You know, these are just paint liners I got from the guy that's painting my house. You could probably find these somewhere, I'm sure. And then eventually when my glass fills up, I just put it in a box and tape it and mark it glass so that nobody gets hurt. But I've got this table here. I've got, usually what I'll do is I'll put a piece of wood. So you might need to find this. That's why I'm letting you know now. Piece of wood that you can cut on top of and a little broom to sweep the shards away periodically. And just throw the shards in your bucket. And you want to be very careful that you don't put your hands down in the shards. Okay, don't lay on the wood or let someone else do that. When I was a graphic designer back in the day, old school, I actually did work on a drafting table. I did key line paste up children's books, my first job. And the boss, he was an Italian guy and he loved to chit chat with me. And he'd come over and he'd put his hand on the edge of my drafting table. He would just stand there and lean on it. And I had to stop working because I was constantly using my T-square. And, you know, one day I actually kind of got him really good with my T-square. But anyway, I don't know why why did I what made me get into that story? No question, but I appreciate you and Shelley showing the different glass you use for a specific project and where to get it. Good, Linda. Of course. So anyway, a piece of wood, to set up your area. Oh, I know why, because people might come up and start talking to you and lean on your table. You don't want them to get shards in their hand. So what I'm going to do is use my nippers to cut my glass inside of this. So I can literally take my votive or whatever I'm cutting and cut it inside of here. And if it goes flying, it's going to hit the walls of that. And I can pick it up and put it on. I usually have my tracer laying right here. Here's a crab I was working on. I have my tracer right here, my other pieces of glass. And I start building my glass as I'm going. And then I transfer it onto my substrate later. So you're going to need nippers, obviously. Those Seabell nippers you can't get. They're on back order everywhere. But you know, you can get these. Oh, here's my other pair. I have two of these. The Goldblatt nippers, these are fantastic. These are my workhorse nippers. I absolutely love them. And they're, what are they, $15, $16, $19 on Amazon? Don't bother getting the cheapy ones at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. They're not good. This is much better. So you just need nippers. You might want a little sanding stone, which you can also get at Dollar Tree. Let me show you what that looks like. Mine, I dropped it one day and it broke. So I have two now. So it's just a little sanding stone. And I think I ordered this on Amazon. I didn't know any better. I think back then they didn't have it at Dollar Tree, but anyway. And then you can rub your glass along the edge of this if you want to sand down any really pointy, dangerous edges. let's see. I think, and oh, okay. As far as safety, you're going to want a pair of like safety glasses, or else you can use your regular glasses. You just want to protect your eyes for sure. We don't want anybody getting hurt. Okay. Also, you know, as far as like clothing and stuff, I mean, I've worn sweaters and you know, glass might lodge in your sweater. So wear something, you know, maybe wear an apron, something a little bit on the slick side that it could just bounce right off. And you know, we do recommend safety gloves, but to be honest, I don't wear the safety gloves because I can't really pick up the glass. I can't feel what I'm doing. So, and you know, I'm on blood thinners, so I'm very careful and I've never had a problem, you know. So don't be nervous about it. I know a lot of people are like nervous about cutting glass, but I love cutting glass. There's something very, Shelly does too, right, Shelly? There is something very special about it. If I haven't cut glass in a while, I really miss it. So you ladies that have been cutting glass for a while, what would you suggest to anybody that might be nervous about it? Nothing to really be nervous about, right? I mean, you have to respect it. It's glass. Always assume it could go flying anywhere and you'll be fine. I keep Band-Aids on my cart. Yes, I have Band-Aids everywhere. Yeah, Shelly loves it. It is very relaxing. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to nip the glass. We're going to use this as our template. And then we might want to, some people like to glue the glass in place. And, you know, that does make it easier, but you have to be careful that you don't gob a lot of glue on there. Because if you're like me, you're going to want to resin the same day, and you don't want anything water-based to be wet because it'll ruin your resin pour. So if you're going to use glue, you could use clear school glue, but use a little bit. Don't gob it on. Use just a thin layer of it so that it dries real quick. And we might want to glue the little pieces in the center because it's all going to move. When you start adding more glass, it moves and it's hard to get it back exactly where you had it and all that stuff. But let me say this. Here's one thing I want to point out right now. You don't have to be real literal about your glass placement. You don't have to put a piece of glass on every paint stroke, okay? You really don't have to do that. Let the viewer's imagination and their mind fill in. Let them, you know, everybody's perception is different, and you want to engage them by letting their imagination pull it all together and fill it in. You don't have to spell every single petal out, is what I'm saying, you know. So okay, glass and then resin. So as far as resin supplies, I got my two kits from Art Resin today. That was so awesome of them. So we're going to be giving these away as prizes. These are two 16-ounce, is it 16 ounce? Yeah, two 16-ounce kits that they sent me that I got today. They are really nice at Art Resin. Yes, be loose. The resin will pull it all together. Yes, it really will. Thank you, Shelly. That is such a good point. The resin does the rest. We were talking today and Shelly's, you know, and Shelly said it really well. I was like, yeah, you know, do this. And then the resin does the rest. It really does. It does pull it together. So you're going to want either Art Resin or KS Resin's Ultra UV formula. Okay, please don't use any other resin. We are going to recommend that you use these because they are both made for art. They're made specifically for artwork. A lot of resins that you see out there are for countertops and boats and this and that and the other thing, or deep pours or whatever. This is the kind of resin that you want to use for this. So So yeah, we've got, you're going to want to get your resin. Now you can get it on Amazon, or you can order directly from Art Resin's website, and they've got a starter kit too of a few different supplies. But basically, all you're going to need is some nitrile gloves, and I do recommend nitrile gloves over vinyl gloves because they are a little bit more protective, believe it or not, than vinyl gloves. So get yourself a box of nitrile gloves. Get yourself a bottle of the 91% isopropyl alcohol, because that's much better for cleaning up off your counters and stuff. Don't use it to clean your skin though. But if you get it on your, if you get it on something like your phone or your glasses, you're going to want to get that off right away. So you're going to need, some paper towels. I like using the blue shop towels. Maybe even some baby wipes. I use Dollar Tree baby wipes. And I also use, like I say, the isopropyl alcohol. If you get it on your skin, and that's probably kind of inevitable, I think we all get it on our skin. You don't want to use isopropyl alcohol on your skin because it actually will push the resin into your skin. What you should use instead is, I've got this stuff over there on my sink called Fast Orange. It's got apricot kernel seeds in there or something in there to scrubby it off. Or I even sell scrubby soaps. Some kind of a cleanser like that has a little bit of grit to it. You can even make your own sugar scrub. I think if you go on Art Resin's website, they even talk about how to make your own either salt or sugar scrub. Easy. It's easy. You probably know how to do it without even looking at their instructions. But that's a good point. Art Resin's website is a fabulous place with a lot of great information about resin. In fact, they just wrote a blog post specifically about glass and resin art, which I thought was really a great article. When you are doing a resin project, you want to lift it up off of the table that you're working on. You want to cover the table with something plastic or vinyl, get a Dollar Tree tablecloth, cover your table, and you want to make sure that's level. So you can get a level at, you can get a really small, cheap level at Harbor Freight or, the hardware store or whatever, or even Dollar Tree, just get a little level. Make sure that your table is level, but you also, when you put your substrate on there, before you do anything else, you're going to want to tape. What we're going to wind up doing is, after we've painted it, we're going to wind up removing the tape that I've got around my edges right now, right? Let me take this over here again, show you. We need to remove this tape before we add the glass and resin, because when we pour the resin, it's going to come up about 1/8 of an inch. So Art Resin is designed to give about 1/8 of an inch thickness when it levels out. And that's another reason why I like the idea of, if this is a first-time project for you, it'll be contained in here. You don't have to worry about resining the sides and drips and all that stuff. So we don't even really need to use riser cups to lift it up off of our working surface, because we're not going to get resin out here. But we are going to remove this tape after we've painted it, and we're going to add the glass. And at some point, what I like to do is cover this top so that when I'm putting the resin on, I don't want to accidentally drip resin on this frame. I don't want resin on my frame at all. I just want my frame to be the white paint. And later on, I could varnish that or something. So does that make sense? We're going to want to remove the painting tape. This is here to protect it from paint. We're going to paint this, and then we're going to remove this tape. I hope I remember to do this. And add the glass to the painted piece. And then we're going to pour the resin in here. But before I pour the resin in, I'm just going to probably put tape across just the top surface only. So let's see what else. But anyway, we're talking about supplies. And I'm kind of getting into some of the details there that I wasn't going to, but you don't really need riser cups, but you're going to need a mixing cup and you're going to need something to spread the resin on with. So you can use, let's see, 12 by 16. You know what? I didn't look up how much resin we're going to need. Let's go do that right now. So to find out how much resin you need, you would use the resin calculator at Art Resin. And I'm just going to go check that out right now. I'm just going to type in artresin.com. Pardon me a minute while I do this. Oh, got a little, some kind of grit fell off of something and it's getting in my mouse. Okay, artresin.com. Let me go there. Hello. And at the very top, I'm clicking on calculator and I'm going to type in 16 by 12. And it says 7 ounces, which is an odd number. It's easier to mix 8 ounces, which is probably what I'm going to do. So I'll have a little bit extra just in case. So we're going to need 8 ounces combined. So that's 4 ounces of the hardener and 4 ounces of the resin. We are using a 2-part epoxy resin. And so the smallest kit that they have is it the 16-ounce kit? Yeah. It's the 6, so it's 8 ounces of resin and 8 ounces of hardener. And so you'd be able to make 2 of these projects from this kit, this, you know, from this 16-ounce set. Right? Yeah. So, and it's $36 free shipping if you order it right at Art Resin. Or who knows, you might win one of our prizes. So since we're going to be mixing 8 ounces of resin, you're going to need at least a 10-ounce cup, but even that might be a little bit hard. You're going to have to be careful while you're stirring. So what you could do is get yourself a, let's see, let me grab a couple things you might get. Oh my goodness, I don't have, well, here it is. Oops. So they have these really nice mixing cups at Dollar Tree. This used to be the kind they have. You can't find these anymore. Now they look like this. So you could literally use this, and it's got the measurements on the side there. We would pour 4 ounces of either the resin or the hardener first, and then 4 ounces of the other thing to make 8 ounces total. Or you could find something like this, you know, at the hardware store. This is a little bit harder to see through, though, to be honest. And you know, the other thing you could do if you're nervous about measuring is you could use like a smaller cup, but and pour your 4 ounces in one cup, 4 ounces in another separate cup, and then combine them in yet a third cup. But I think that just increases your chances of error. I like, my best recommendation is to just go get one of these at Dollar Tree. Go get one of these. And then we're going to pour 4 ounces and 4 ounces for the 2 parts. Okay. If you have 10-ounce graduated cups, I think that might be what I shared as a link in the group. And if you're careful, yeah, you can use the 10-ounce cup. You're not going to spill it out of there, but you're going to, you know, you're supposed to stir slowly anyway. And then you can use either a plastic spoon to mix it, or a you know, a tongue depressor type wooden stick to mix it. And you are going to need something to release the air bubbles. So either a heat gun, or how many of you guys have the what is that other heat gun called? God, I'm forgetting the name of it. That's what I used for a long time. It's I don't know where it is right now. Oh, here it is. What is this thing called? gosh, this thing is old. I forget what they called this thing, but this is basically a heat gun. Yeah, you could use a flame torch, but I used to use this, believe it or not. Anyway, the heat makes those bubbles rise up out of the resin. So yeah, I think I shared a link for a heat gun, but I'll be honest, again, using art resin as the Bible, so to speak, they recommend a little butane torch, a little kitchen torch over a heat gun. But a lot of people prefer the heat gun. I know Shelly prefers a heat gun. Right, Shelly? I'm so good. I'm putting everything back as I go. Aren't you proud of me? All right, so we better get to mixing some colors here. Oh, I wanted to share with you some more prizes real quick, and then we're going to do some color mixing. So look what I got here. I've got some golden samples I'm going to be giving away as a prize. So there's some different products by Golden in here, a couple of paints, a couple different things. I'm going to be giving away a couple of my scrubby soaps. These are fabulous for cleaning up paint, resin, anything, because being an artist is messy. I've also got a couple of these styluses in here to give away, and I've got a couple of paintbrush sets that I've put together. And these are the brushes that I'm recommending for this class. I've got a 3/4 inch flat brush, a 1/2 inch flat brush, a small liner, and a round, I think it's a size 6. And the liner is like a 0 or something. So something like that is, and of course I always recommend acrylic paint brushes, so that if it says golden Taklon or white Taklon, that's what you want to use. It's a synthetic fiber, and it's the best thing for painting with acrylic paint. You don't want to use anything with a natural hair in there. I've also got some seed beads, some kneaded erasers, and some of the craft sticks for stirring the resin. So I've got all kinds of awesome prizes. And the only way you can get them is if you are watching the live. We're going to be doing these live. I don't know if Shelly's going to be able to help me with this. She's got a hubby that's having surgery, so I'll probably be doing my best on my own, but that's okay. I'm the crazy person that decided to do this in March. But anyway, those are the prizes. Isn't that exciting? Yay! Okay, so let's mix some colors. And I think these paint mixes are fairly easy. So I just want to go through them with you. And my tried and true palette is simply a styrofoam plate. It's great because I'm filming and I need a small one, and I can put another styrofoam plate on top to keep my paints wet. It works for me. I have 2 glass palettes. I have 2 different what do you call the stay wet. I have 2 stay wet palettes. I've got everything you could possibly imagine, and I wind up using this. Isn't that funny? And the thing about professional grade paints is you don't really need as much. It really goes a long way. It's highly pigmented, and they go a lot farther. So of course, when you're painting, you're going to need a palette. You're going to need paper towels. You're going to need a little container of water. And here's that. I like to use gesso for my white. I forgot to mention that. I didn't talk about white at all. When I'm mixing, I put the white in separate long pieces like that so that I can like take a piece of it and over to the pigment that I'm mixing. So I just take a slice off of this and bring it over here and pull a little bit of that quinacridone in there. I pull from the edge of my puddle. And, you know, here's just my basic, you know, pink, which obviously we've got that in here, right? So we're going to write that down. So this is quinacridone magenta QM plus white. I'm just making a W for that. Is that okay? Trying to get closer. Need to have this over here. Now, let's say I want to just shift it a little bit. Of course, I can make it darker by adding more quinacridone, but I want to make it just a little bit warmer. And I pulled too much, but pull that over here. And again, get another slice of this. So now I made it, I don't know, it's kind of both. It's quinacridone, but it's also with my pyrrole red. So that's a slightly different color. And look at the difference there. And you can see now that I've got two of them, I can see a relationship. I can see the difference between the two of them. I recently had my bedrooms upstairs painted. I got the whole upstairs painted. And you can't really tell, is it white? Is it cream? Is it off-white? Does it have blue in it? Does it have green in it? You can't tell until you put another color next to it. You ever notice that when you're looking at paint swatches? So now I can see that, you know, the difference between the two because they're side by side. So this was my pyrrole red light, PRL, plus quinacridone magenta and white. Okay, so that's the formula for that. Now let's just try one that is I'm just going to pinch the paint out into my paper towel. Now I'm going to get another piece of white again and pull that in here. And so now this is just the pyrrole red. And that looks quite different. Okay, so and all of these I can make darker. I mean, you know, here, all of these I can make darker. Right? Okay, so that's good. I'm seeing all that now. And that's pretty easy, right? I might even want to try, what would happen if I tried a little bit of yellow in my flowers? So I'm going to put a little bit of my Hansa yellow out. And let's just see what happens, just for the hell of it. What happens if I take a little bit of yellow and add that over here to this combo of pink and red that I had, and add a little more white. Now I've got something completely different. It's peach. It's really peach, but I can really change it. Like if I use just the quinacridone with the yellow, it's going to look one way. But if I use the mixture that had the quinacridone and the pyrrole red and add yellow to that, it's going to look really peachy. Just depends on how much of each color that I use. So there's that. So those are probably all my warm colors that I'm going to have in there. Aside from, I do want a yellow green. I've got some yellow green happening on some of the stems. So let's do some greens now, right? And so here's my sample, by the way, where you can see these colors in here, right? But what I'm noticing is I added quite a bit more white to the outer petals, that's an easy thing to do. I don't even need to show you that color mix. You just add more white to any of these. for the outer petals, right? So let's try these greens. What is a good green? So now I need to get some blue out here, and I'm going to try my phthalo blue. And like I said, you can't really tell the difference between phthalo blue and ultramarine blue. When you put them out, they look the same. But as soon as I add a little white or add a little water, you can kind of tell the difference, I guess. And I'm also going to put my teal out. I just got this teal. So if I add a little bit of white to this, that's what that looks like. That's the phthalo blue green shade. If I add white to this one, it looks completely different, right? Now I see the difference. What makes a better green? Well, that's a subjective thing. Let me get another plate. Both of them are going to be too green. We're going to need to desaturate, by adding something else to them. But a lot of times you can make a decent green from black and yellow, believe it or not. Now, I don't have black here. Perhaps I could use brown or even Payne's gray with yellow. I bet you that would be pretty decent, Payne's gray and yellow. But anyway, so I've got ultramarine blue with a little bit of white in my brush. So let's bring that over here onto another plate, and let's add some yellow to this. And that makes a nice lime, vibrant spring green. That might be a little over the top for us, but when I go look at my painting, I kind of do have that crazy green in there. It's a spring green, and a lot of times stems do have this color in there. These ranunculus stems do have this color in there, but I'm going to need another shade. So maybe I would add a little bit more blue to this, and that tones it down, or it darkens it, makes it kind of, I don't know. And then what if I added a little bit of red to that? So let's take my pyrrole red, and you want to be careful with this, just a little bit. And it looks like army green, kind of. It makes it kind of funky looking, but when you put it down over here, you realize, yes, that actually does look like a leaf green. That would be what it would look like, especially in the vase, of water. They do tend to look like that. So all I did was mix a blue and yellow together, and then I desaturated it with a red. And believe it or not, a brown is considered, especially like burnt sienna, is considered a red. I don't know how Van Dyke would work with it, but let's try it. Wow, this doesn't want to open. Ow. Sometimes when I have opened these lids, a squirt of paint comes out with it, and I didn't want to do that. That would be fun on camera, wouldn't it? So let's just put a dot of that over here. And also a little Payne's gray. So, you don't have to get black. A lot of times I do use black, but if you could use Payne's gray or, a dark brown instead. And again, if you're not sure what it looks like, just add a little bit of white to it, and it'll kind of show its color, so to speak. Add a little bit of white to this. Look how pretty that is, the Payne's gray. And so, okay, since I have this in my brush, let's do that. Let's do Payne's gray with some yellow and see what we get. That's really pretty. Look at that. Let's add a little more Payne's gray back in. That's a nice, rich green. Oh, I forgot to write these color names down. See, I knew I was going to do that. Oh, I like that a lot. So this was Payne's Gray, PG plus Hansa Yellow Opaque. This was Hansa Yellow Opaque plus Ultramarine Blue. This was Hansa Yellow Opaque plus Pyro Red Light. This was Pyro Red Light plus white. Ay. This is a really nice green. I don't know that I even went that dark over here, but we certainly could, right? I do have some really vibrant greens here. I've even got a blue in here. How are we doing? No comments. You guys are still there, right? Oh, I'm keeping you a long time. We're almost done. Okay. Then there's the blue in the vase. But I wanted to try teal. Let's see what we can get if we mix. Again, I'm not going to rinse my brush, and I'm not even adding water to any of this. So what would happen if I use yellow with a little bit of teal? That's probably going to be another crazy. That's a really vibrant, the most vibrant green yet, which we do have a couple of those, a couple of stems like that in here. So you could do it with that. If you don't want to have teal, you could just add a little bit of your phthalo blue green shade, tiny, tiny bit of that. Hi, Jane, with your Hansa yellow. Okay, so let's write down. This was teal, which I guess I'm going to spell it out. Teal plus Hansa yellow opaque. Okay, didn't even add any white to that. Now for these interesting little blue shades that we've got here, I'm going to use the bottom two squares of my color mixing sheet to put a bunch of different blues down in there. And what we want to do is to try and differentiate the water from the rest of the vase, which I didn't really do that great of a job on this one. So this background blue, that looks like that is phthalo blue green shade with white. Okay, watching and making notes. Okay, good. Good. Okay, so get a piece of white. It's not really a piece, but I call it that. That's probably from my oil painting days. A little tiny bit of my phthalo blue green shade. And I've got a super pale blue, which obviously we've got that going on. And I mean, this is a beautiful color, but we could certainly do a little bit more to it, right? Let's write that down. That was phthalo blue green shade plus white. But then we're also, let's add some teal to it now and see what happens. Oh my goodness, that is really pretty. Look at that. I love that color. Looks a little bit bright right now, but so this one is, it's plus teal. So it's this plus teal. Okay, and then let's do that muted blue that you see in there. Now, anytime you want to do a muted blue, use either your Payne's Gray or your brown, whatever brown you have. Or you can even use your raw sienna. So let's try that. We did greens over there and we didn't use raw sienna. Gosh, this is so hard to open. And my nails are not strong enough. They'll just shred. Okay, so there is my raw sienna. I want to see what happens if I mix Payne's Gray with raw sienna. That's probably really muddy ugly. I don't know what that is. Actually, oh, you know what? It's very nice. It's a dark olive green. It's even nicer than that one. So there you go. And we only learn how to do this when we take the time to play, with mixing our colors. So this was raw sienna and Payne's gray. I mean, I might have still had a little bit of blue in my brush, but not much. So that's an interesting color. I think if I wanted to bring it up a little bit more, I could try adding some yellow to it. Ooh, and look what that did. Wow, that is really pretty. This is plus my Hansa yellow opaque. But, it kind of looks a lot like that one. So that's interesting. Anyway, I didn't mean to mix more greens. We're doing blues. Sorry. So let's do that. Let's do the Payne's gray. I think I need a little bit more of it. Payne's gray and white, first of all, is a really pretty color. So let's just put that down. Because remember, when we see something, a color against another color, it helps us, right? So let's start with that. Get some white, then grab my Payne's gray. Look at that beautiful, this would make a nice neutral background color for anything. Look at that. I just love that color. It's coming up a little bit lighter on camera. It's not too far off though. When I do that, you can see it a little bit more. Okay, so this was Payne's gray and white. What if I add some ultramarine blue to that? Here's some ultramarine blue I'm adding to it. Oh my goodness. Wow, that is a beautiful color. Isn't that pretty? So this is plus ultramarine blue. If I want it a little more grayed down and warmer, maybe a little warmer, what if I added brown to that? A little bit of my brown. I mean, a tiny bit, and look how it shifted it. I should have put it over here. So this is Payne's gray plus ultramarine blue plus my brown, Van Dyke brown. Of course, I could add more Van Dyke brown to it, and it's just an interesting neutral. And you know what? Sometimes it's really nice to have some neutrals thrown in there. But I was leaning towards getting some really vibrant stuff going on this one. You don't have to use the same color palette. I mean, this is a very vibrant lime green, and it goes nicely, I think, with the bright pinks, but you could certainly do a more earthy palette like this if you wanted to. And that's the reason why I thought I would share this color mixing guide with you, so that hopefully you'll get in and play around with it a little bit. You could even get a piece of, get your sketchbook pad out if you have one, and just do a quickie practice thing, a 5-minute floral with your color mixes to see what you like, Does that sound like something you might do? That doesn't sound too hard, does it? I hope it doesn't. So yeah, look how exciting it is seeing all those pretty colors. If you have these paint colors, you're going to be able to do a really nice job with this painting. Any questions, you guys? And of course, if you're watching on the replay and you have questions, just tag me, just type it in, type in my name or Shelly's name, and type in your question. Okay, here's a question. Is that black or Payne's gray on your piece? On my piece, I think I used Payne's gray. Great question. Terry says, yes, it's fun to do. It is. It really is. All right. So I will share a photo of this in the group, for your reference, pleasure. And I'll take a photo of all of these paints. Now, these paints, if you need to know about substitutions, let me just say this. You don't have to be real literal about these exact paint colors, okay? You really don't. If you're a member, if you're a member of the Painter's Journey, I would love for you to have these exact colors, some of them anyway. But even Shelley has different paint colors than I have, although now she's got a bunch of goldens. But it's okay. You don't have to do the exact same colors, is what I'm saying. Learn to kind of lean in and trust yourself with the decisions and the choices that you make. And when you put those colors next to each other, you're going to learn to kind of trust your intuition on, well, I don't quite like that color. And if you can't figure out what it is, share it with us. We can help you with that. But I want you to try asking yourself. I think a lot of us don't even trust ourselves. Ask yourself, lean back and ponder. Shelley and I were talking about this today. Just lean back, take a few minutes, take a break, walk away from it. A lot of times if you walk away for a few minutes and come back, you'll instinctively know. Like, oh, I need to add more green. I want it to be a softer green. I want it to be a more muted green. What did Aggie say to add? Oh yeah, add a red or a brown. That'll mute it. That'll tone it down a little bit. Just take the time to allow yourself to come up with the answers, and then show us. I think I'm going to do this. Does it? I don't want you to feel like you can't ask. Of course you can, but I want you to lean into trusting yourself a little bit too. Okay, and mostly what I want you to know is, you don't have to be a slave to getting every single thing that you see me using. You certainly don't have to do that, I hope that makes sense. Linda says, I love to practice mixing colors. I do. I find it very relaxing. And I save these sheets too. They're very useful, really very useful. I have a stack of them over there. So that's it, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out. I can't wait to start. You've got plenty of time. We've got almost 3 full weeks until we actually start. So hopefully that'll give you the time to get all these things together. And I really am looking forward to it. I hope we can bring a lot more people in. So invite your friends. If you share, we would love for you to share some of the promotions. You can usually find shareable posts and reels on my personal page, Agnes Friedlander, or on Shelley's personal page. You can't share out of a group for private because we have the privacy thing going on. But if the more you share, then you're entered to win some of the prizes. So we would love for you to share it, get the word out, help us out with that. You are very welcome. Who's saying thank you so much for this? You are very welcome. Somebody got in at the tail end. That's okay. Terry, did I answer all your questions? I hope so. Oh, I didn't talk about brushes. I think like a size, the problem with brushes is that every paint company, every brush company can call a size 4 a different thing. What this one calls a size 4, this one would call a size 6. So, it's hard, but, whatever, well, if you've never painted before, I would say size 6 is probably the safest for painting these, a size 6 round for painting these petals. Because by the time you mix the paint and load your brush and go to push it on here, it's going to be a little bit bigger, when you push down on your brush. I also like using flats, and I do like that one small liner, like a size 1, something small like this, falling out of my hand. And I love these short liners. I might have even shared this in the group. I don't remember now. But this is SG 595-2 from Artist Paintbrush. This is my favorite little liner. And this is perfect, you know, for painting this line and this line. Even so, you can even use this for these stems, you know, and these little dots and these little detail-y things. You can use this brush for all of that. I would like for you to use a bigger round for these petals so that you're looser. If you use something this small all the time, you're going to be way too tight. Okay. So, and just make sure that they are, you know, golden Taklon, the synthetic fibers for acrylic painting. All right. That's it, my friends. I'm going to really go this time. But of course, if you think of questions later, just pop them in the chat here, or, you know, just make a new post with a question and tag myself, Agnes Friedlander or Shelley Parker. All right. That's it. We'll see you soon. Bye.